Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. So, Newcastle are on the verge of signing Sandro Tonali. We are going to hear from Matteo Bonetti, who has been watching Tonali all season. We'll also have a look at where his strengths are, his weaknesses are, and of course, we will jump on the tactical pad to take a look at where will he fit into this new Newcastle United lineup. So, welcome everybody. I hope you're all doing well, but let's get straight into it. Let's hear from Matteo Bonetti, who watches Tonali on a regular basis.
All right, a quick minute on who Sandro Tonali is as a player. He's a 23-year-old Italian midfielder that can play either as a holding midfielder in a 4-2-3-1 or as a central midfielder in a 4-3-3. The thing I love about him, and I've covered most of his games as a commentator, is how versatile he's become. He can do so many little things well. He can drive forward with the ball, he can beat players on the dribble and progress through the lines, but he can also win a tackle. He's physically tough, he's an athletic player, he's quite quick, and when he does get forward, he usually plays the smart pass. Now, he's not an elite passer like an Andrea Pirlo, but he's very good in that department, and he keeps on getting better. He can give you goals, he can give you assists, does a bit of everything in the link-up as well. He was one of Milan's most important players, a huge blow for the league and for the Rossoneri if he leaves. I think the money that is being spent apparently by Newcastle is fair, and they're getting a damn good player.
That was Matteo Bonetti, so thank you very much. That is on his Twitter. He watches Tonali on a regular basis, so some really, really positive words about the Italian international who's currently on under 21 international duty, despite just turning 23, because it's based on the year of birth. Obviously, after this tournament, he won't be able to play for the under 21s, but look, this lad has talent. I said on Twitter yesterday that if we bring this lad in, we go and raid one of Europe's biggest clubs for this lad, I think this will be the biggest transfer statement to date. I think it's bigger than Bruno because, let's face it, not many of us knew how Bruno was. What was he like when he first came in? I think it's bigger than Isak because he was playing for Sociedad. Probably on a level maybe with Trippier's probably the nearest one, but look at the fee that involved. There is a lot of rumours going around that the fee is, some of them are quoting in euros. Remember, euros is more. Some of them quote in pounds. So it's around about 70 million euros, 65 million euros, which is what, just over 50 odd million for a player who will no doubt improve Newcastle United's squad. If we take a look at some of his strengths here, you can see the strengths and weaknesses of him. And this is the graph where if you look at the challenges winning, he's very, very high. The light blue, which you can see on your screen on here, the light blue is his, whereas the grey is the average. So he's way above the average in terms of challenging. Pass interceptions as well, pinching the ball off other players when they're in possession is really high. Key passes, despite Bonetti saying he's got a long way to go in terms of passing. He did get 10 assists last season, so his key passes is there. However, you look at the goals column, he's not expected to bomb forward, a bit like we were linked to Nicolo Barello, where Barello's a box-to-box midfielder. Tonali won't do that. He'll sit deep, and that's why he's been compared to the legend that is Andrea Pirlo as well. And you can see he barely dribbles. He really runs forward with the ball. So that's where the comparison comes in with Pirlo. Now, it's got a long, long way to mix it up with Andrea Pirlo, mind. But look, these are promising signs that, you know, we are getting a real talent if it happens, that is, because it is close. And there's a few stats there. Obviously, he was born just, over 20 miles up the road. His club is Milan. He's played at Brescia, and then he went on to loan to Milan, and then they signed him on a permanent basis. As I mentioned, he's just turned 21. Just turned 23, but he's the under 21 captain, and he's in the Euro squad currently at the minute. 11 caps for them, 0 goals, and he's played 12 times for the full Italian national side. And last season, he made 48 appearances, so he played a lot of football, grabbing 10 assists from deep, and of course, scoring 2 goals. Now, for me, that indicates that he's probably going to sit in front of the defense. I think that's where we'll see him largely. And look, I am really, really excited. And normally we don't do these types of videos if it hasn't got legs. So I thought, right, we're going to have to jump on, mess around with a few graphics today, and because this is a real statement. I know it's not done yet, but this is gathering momentum. Everybody's talking about it. You're talking your national from Sky, national papers, the Italians as well. Normally, when a daft rumor comes out, it's only from one end. Like down the years, we've had the daft keep rumors. We've had Turkish rumors, Portuguese rumors, which had nothing in it. It was all click, 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 click. Yeah, pay. But this has definitely got legs. There's genuine interest in this as well. Of course, where will he fit in? That's the key. So we're going to jump on the tactical pad. I'm just loading that up as we speak in a minute. We're going to jump on there, and I want to talk about where will he fit in, because not only just that, I think there's other positions that are up for grabs for next season, and I think Newcastle do need to strengthen. So I've got it open now, so let's jump on the tactical pad as well.
So everybody highlighted in yellow, so you can see Dan Burn, a couple of the midfielders, and the wingers and strikers. They're highlighted because we're either that position is under threat from somebody else, or I feel that we need to strengthen. So before we get on to Tonali, I just want to take a look at this lineup for you. This is what Eddie Howe would normally play, which will be 4 at the back, 3 midfield, and he'll play 1 winger on the left, 1 on the right, and then a striker up top. For me, going into next season, I don't feel that Dan Burn has done a fantastic campaign last season. He was brilliant, he was defensively, but I feel having a natural left back that can get up and down that wing is what Newcastle would really, really benefit from. So for me, some people say that we need to strengthen the centre backs. I don't, because you can keep Jamal Lascelles at the club, but I'd also have Dan Burn fighting with Botman and Fabian Schär, because I don't think centre back is a priority this season. I think there's other areas in the pitch where we can strengthen. So for me, Dan Burn is one area that we could look at left back, and I really do think that Newcastle should seriously consider that. Into midfield, at the moment, if we get about Tonali here, we'll just put him down here to one side for a second. With the 2 midfield, if all 4 are fit, it would normally be between Longstaff and Willock. Now, stats show that Sean Longstaff was most of all favoured with Eddie Howe. Sean Longstaff played every game if he was fit, whether that was starting or from the bench. Majority of it starting. So Willock would then suffer. So Willock would go down to the bench, and then you would have the 3 of Sean Longstaff and Joe Linton. However, of course, with the Tonali signing, that is a straight upgrade straight away. Sean would have to drop to the bench, and Tonali would then sit in the back, which he can protect the defence, which we've already talked about, which will allow the likes of Bruno Guimaraes to get forward, which I feel like Newcastle can get more out of him if Bruno Guimaraes is given a licence to get further forward. Joe Linton's chipped in with tons of goals this last season. What was it, 7-8 goals last season, which is his best return from midfield. Absolute warrior and a beast. And of course, he's done a job over here. We do want to talk about that left wing position, but this left wing position, I mean, you could also bring up Jacob Murphy over here as well, and even Alexander Isak's played there a couple of times at the back end of the season. But for me, it's got to be Gordon or saint-maximin. But I also feel like Newcastle need a winger to come in. I just think that we've got all right wingers, but I just don't feel there's anybody who's standing out. Saint-Maximin's hot and cold, seems to pick up injuries. Gordon, it's a big season for him. He needs to try and get in that starting lineup and play more, start from the off more often. Miggy, I think he's justified, and I think Murphy's probably kept himself in the squad, even if it's from the bench next season with his performances last season. But if they're all fit, you would say that Murphy would go back to the bench, because it would be Miggy to start. And then if it's between Saint-Maximin and Gordon, normally Gordon hasn't been starting. Yes, he started against Chelsea and scored the last game of the season, but if Saint-Maximin is fit, you would probably say it would be Saint-Maximin. But of course, we know that Isak has played over there as well. But I don't want to say Alexander Isak over here next season. For me, he has to play up top. So that would be my left wing and my right wing, but I do generally feel that we still need to strengthen one of that. I just don't feel comfortable with that next season. Yes, you can just have Joe Linton come over here, and that would allow Joe Willock to come back in, which we've seen a couple of times. Willock will play in the centre of the field role, which will allow Joe Linton out wide. But at home, I'm fine with all right with Saint-Maximin. Away, I'm a little bit shaky with that, so I do feel that it's something that we can strengthen. With the striker situation, for me, it has to be one or the other. We cannot have... It's all right having Isak over there. I don't mind that if we're chasing a game. But I don't want Isak playing out there next season for long periods of the season. For me, it's got to be between one of the two. And we've seen the best of Callum Wilson when he had competition. It's the first time really that he's had proper competition. And he was coming off the bench, scoring a couple of braces. And then he was getting his chance back in the lineup. So it's healthy competition. It's good. They probably need a third choice striker to come in. Maybe someone who is happy to get the odd minute here and there. Maybe it's a youngster or maybe it's a seasonal pro. Who knows? But I generally think still Newcastle need a third choice striker. But for me, if I had to pick between the two, I would go for Isak. Callum Wilson can pick up injuries, but for first choice, I would go for Isak. I think he just has so much class about him. And yes, you miss obviously Wilson's nouns for being fox in the box. But that's the starting lineup for me going into the next season. And then obviously we talked about the big man. If he comes in, Tonali, he'll obviously dictate and sit. And I think it'll be massive this because we've seen it with his stats already that he likes to obviously dispossess. He doesn't get dispossessed himself. He likes to give it away, And also the key thing with Tonali is the key passes where he can put the wingers out wide and feed Isak. Very, very excited about that. But as I say, that'll allow Bruno and the newly capped Brazilian Joe Linton. But of course, we are expecting we'll build on this team as we expect more signings to come through the door. But that's how I would shape right now if we get the Tonali deal over the line.
So if we get it over the line, which is very, very close with that as well. So that's what I would go with. Of course, as I talked about in there as well, we are expecting to bring in, and I think it's just a start. We are heavily linked to James Maddison, who could come into that midfield. Maybe we can put him out wide as well. Diaby's been linked long term, but I think that's got a bit quiet this summer. I can't really see that happening. Szoboszlai from the Bundesliga, he's another one. I think it's just the start, I think it's just the start. I think we will have 2 or 3 more come in once, hopefully, this gets over the line, the Tonali deal. Look, we are jumping a little bit of the gun, but it's exciting. It's time to be excited as Newcastle fans because, you know, we were linked back in the day. We were just chuffed to get a loan signing over the line when it was under Ashley. But now we're looking at these big names, and obviously PAF are doing massive things in Saudi Arabia, taking players across there now. And this will be a statement, again, for the PIF if we grab and go and raid one of Europe's elite clubs for one of their most talented players. Without a shadow of a doubt, it will be. And, of course, there is some daft things out there that, you know, we could loan the likes of Ruben Neves back to Newcastle and what have you. And that is a real possibility. I know we're joking on about it, but it is actually quite a real possibility because you can do that. But look, we'll have to wait and see how that goes with the PIF. But yes, Sandro Tonali is very, very close. Hope you like today's video, something totally different. Been messing around with our new system, so hope you have enjoyed it. Let us know, please do, in the comments down below where you think he will fit. Do you agree with me? And his stats, have you learned anything new today? And he's a totally different player to Nicolo Barella, who we were heavily linked to. So that's it for me, everybody. Drop us a like. Take care. Watch what it's doing. Bye-bye.